Okay, I just wanted to show a couple other different ways we can do our diagrams. You know, how we do them is not hard and true. We do them a certain way the majority of the time, but every now and then we have an exception. Now I've gone through some of these levels already. I've picked some of them out. There's two ways you can retrieve your guides. If you've done them quickly, such as or recently, such as I've done here, you can pull them right from here. If it's been a while, then you need to open up this and write in your file. Okay? Now, because I've been working on these videos for a while, I've not done a good job. Here's level 479. As you see, it was a level completely filled with shadow bubbles. Now, shadow bubbles are one of those obstacles that we 98% of the time always mark. However, this whole entire screen is filled with shadow bubbles. In order to save time, there's one or two things we could have done. We could have just left it. There's so many shadow bubbles in here, we could have just left it. Or if there had been a morph, let's take our circle. We do our morphs. I'm going to show you something else before I do that. Okay, we do our morphs. It's not showing the color. We'll use, there it goes. We do them in the lavender and the light color. Every now and then, if they're on a really light background, though, we'll do them in purple. 95% of the time, we do lavender. So let's say this was a morph bubble, and you had a few of these scattered around. Then, you know, I might have marked the morphs, but I wouldn't have marked all these shadows. Just too much work. So you could have just left it plain, or there is something else you could have done. I did do a sample just to show you. And that is this. Now your line of vision, I haven't cropped this, I just made this for the video. You have your line of vision, I believe it was around here. Okay? And if you'll notice, you've got alternating rows of regular bubbles. I would have just marked the regular bubbles. Pick out a color that shows. Yellow seems to work well. Unless I had infections, I probably wouldn't have used yellow. I may have. A lot depends on what's in your picture to decide what's best. In this instance, I'd have just drawn the regular bubbles. And then you state that in your tips and strategy when you write up your guide. You know, you have alternating rows of bubbles, regular bubbles, which are shown in the diagram, you know, that alternate with the other rows are shadows and crystals. And I would have done it this way. That's how I would have done it. Or left it just plain. You know, that's just as easy, because it does get busy, and we don't like to have them busy. But if you just look at the picture, you can see the shadows, but you may not be able to tell that there's regular bubbles there. Then I'd have cropped it and labeled it, and that would have been it. Now, I'm going to go back to another level, and I'll probably have to do a second video. I don't think I'll have enough time. That was level 4. I want to do 488. No. I want to do level 488. That's not the level 488 I wanted to do. I did not mark it. There, level 488. There's a few things in here I want to point out. First is we have links above the chain that we have no idea what color they are. Now I know, because I was told, that these links are yellow, and you know, having these links don't necessarily connect to anything else. But we need to mark them in. And our yellow links, of course, are marked in yellow. What size is this picture? It looks big. It is. I blew it up, that's why, for another video. So, we need to mark them. You got to mark them. That's just all there is to it. And when it comes to bombs, and oh, I'm sorry, when you mark this yellow link, you got to mark in your green and your pink. You mark them all in. And sometimes you don't have to draw the line through them, as you already know, because you just draw where they connect. It just depends on your layout. Now I'm going to use this as an example for something else. If we should happen to have an infection in this same layout, our infection is in yellow. Always. Always our infection is in yellow. But if we have yellow links, we want to mark them in a different color. Directly under that yellow, see they show up for you, is the light yellow or an ivory. So then I would mark the yellow links. Whoop, it didn't come through, did it? There, look at that. As long as you don't click it, it automatically changes. Then I would mark the yellow links in this light yellow color. And that's what I would have done. Now, another point I want to make out are bombs. 95% of the time, we use the light turquoise or light blue. I like to call it light blue. See, in this dark area, when in a dark area you just cannot see, and whenever, by the way, whenever we're doing our diagrams, if we forget to change our shapes, we just have to hit this little reverse button and it goes back. So this is how we do our bombs. They are in that light yellow color. Even when you have a dark and a light together, we do the darker color when there's a background, but once you make one color, you keep them all the same. Okay? So, all of those are marked in light. Granted, if we do have to use the color, a darker bomb on like a really, really light background, then we go directly above and use the turquoise. And that's when, that you write it over here, just like you have here, okay? Now, something else I want to show you real quick, because I'm going to have to make another video. Not everything's going to show here. I had resized earlier for the video, so I'm going to take it back to its original size. 500 is what we use for one picture layouts. If I had to go in here and correct these lines, there's a couple of different things I can do. Let's go back to the yellow links. That makes it easier. We want to use a straight line. Now what you're going to see is that line, this is our regular thickness of line. Here's the size of your lines. This is how we draw our diagrams when we first take the screenshot before we reduce them. This particular instance, that you'll see that it's much thicker. We can do one of two things. You do what works out best for you. Change the thickness of your line. Then go back and see if it's pretty similar. And in this case, it is. The other thing you can do is you can resize your picture. Blow it up to like 650 pixels. And it blows up. Then, let's go back. We'll have to change our line to our regular line. Then draw in your line. Okay? And any other changes you need to make. But do whatever works best. See, now this still is a little thicker. I don't know why. I use a bold line. I'm drawing in somebody else's picture. So that, you have to alter it to whatever looks best. After you do this, then of course you resize it again. And you go back down to the 500 pixels. And that's for our regular layout. Now, I'm not saving any of these changes. But I am going to go back in here, and I will draw in my links before I put it in the guide. That's the only thing I'm going to change. And we're going to go back here and make all these changes there. It's just like it originally was, I believe. That's all I'm going to do for this video. I'm going to come back to this picture and show you a few more things.